the final whistle was blown. 3 minutes and 36 seconds added on at the end of the game. Still not long enough for West Ham to produce an equaliser as the Hammers lose for the first time in Europe this season, going down 1-0 at home to Dinamo Zagreb, scoring the only goal of the game through Orsic after just 3 minutes. A bit of a fluke, really. A looping, dipping shot that we think took a deflection off Pablo Fornals, dipped over the head of Alphonse Areola into the far corner. And that was that. West Ham really never threatened the Zagreb goal. And Zagreb, to be fair, didn't really threaten West Ham an awful lot after that. In fact, it was it was kind of the sort of game we'd built it up to be. It was a much ado about nothing, I think you'd probably say. And, no disgrace for West Ham. A lot of youngsters out there making their first starts for the club. We'll have a look at some of those performances in the next few minutes. But, final score, West Ham 0, Zagreb 1. West Ham, of course, through to the last 16. Zagreb will go through to the knockout phase next February, where they will face one of the teams who have fallen out of the Champions League for the opportunity to play in the last 16. Gnome, initial post-match thoughts on what you've seen tonight, West Ham 0, Zagreb 1.
I'm just looking, and Longello was obviously found. I'm guessing that's family because it's either his dad or an older brother. Yeah. And he's just been hugged in the crowd there, but clearly somebody who's very, very proud of him. And why not? I thought he had a decent game. The youngsters, I should say, I thought acquitted themselves very well. I mean, first 10, 15 minutes, as I say, there was a little bit of slight nervousness, which, let's face it, these are just kids, and it's kind of to be expected. Potts has found family as well by the looks of things, and don't look like his dad though, but lots of selfies with friends and family. So it's great for the kids. I mean, they're milking it, and quite rightly so. You make your debut for the club, especially with Potts, that'll be a club that he's been involved with most of his life, one way or another, sort of, even before playing. So, I mean, special night for them, and after that first few minutes, they were not in any way, shape, or form. Didn't look out of place. You look at the quality of the opposition to a certain degree, perhaps, and Zagreb, as we said at the beginning, didn't need much. Got that goal sort of early doors, and were very sort of happy to let it ride there, I think. Looks like they're now getting the youngsters there. There's 6 of them all there, and that young lad, what's his name, Pia Forsen, is about a foot shorter than everybody else in the line. So it just goes along and then down. But they're all getting their photographs taken, and good to see. It wasn't the sternest of tests, and you might fear for them if they were playing against Burnley on Sunday, for example. Perkins got a bit of a kicking tonight. Can you imagine Tarkowski sort of like would be trying to put him into Rose Ed, never mind the ball. And but there's reason to be optimistic with them anyway. There was some, they weren't phased, and that's a European game. Against the team who ended up going through with us.
Yeah, lovely touch that at the end to see the 6 young lads there getting their photo taken together. But ultimately, West Ham going down, and were we a bit slow from the start? I mean, we were pretty much, we said the opening 6 minutes, they had 3 chances. Trying to see when our first effort on goal was. 19 minutes before we had our first effort on goal, which was the Harrison Ashby cross to the far post that Perkins nodded just over the bar. In fact, it was the best chance Perkins got all night. The only chance he, really had, and the only time he really got away from his defender, but maybe a little bit guilty of giving, you know, Zagreb a little bit too much respect in the opening few minutes, kind of led to that downfall in the end.
I think you've got to consider the fact that you had a team out there that was a complete scratch team. I mean, in previous European matches, yes, we've run the changes, but there's been a core of players who played together either in League Cup or European, whereas this was just, pure sort of almost the only time they played together had been, on the training pitch. So, yeah, it does take a little bit of getting used to. There were some nice little combinations. If Ashby and Yarmolenko in the first half had a few nice touches between them. It might be interesting. I mean, it'd be interesting to see Ashby going down that wing with someone a bit more, say, engaged in what they're doing, shall we say? Because you can't help but feeling that one or two of those senior pros, I wouldn't say that's down, but didn't seem, almost resented the fact that they were playing. I think that had more to do with the fact that it was a scratch team than, once we settled into it a bit more, the longer you play in a real match together like that, the more things gel. Little moments were gelling there. As I say, I mean, we lost 1-0, but had that game mattered in any way, shape, or form, we'd have seen a completely different side out there. You can bet.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you touched on it there, didn't you? I wanted to come to this. I felt the senior pros were to a man all disappointing tonight, with the exception perhaps of Alphonse Sariola, who, I don't think he could do a lot with that goal. It was just an extraordinary stroke of luck for Orsic. I can't think of a decent performance for that. Even Mark Noble sort of stuttered and struggled to get involved, and at least he was the only one in my book who looked lively. Fornals completely out of the game. Vlasic, incredibly disappointing. Was hoping to see a bit of him. Benrahma, once again making the wrong choice. And as for Yarmolenko, well, the less said about that, the better. Even Alex Crowe, I know it's his first game back for a while, but this is a Czech international. Would have expected a little bit more from him tonight.
There was a couple of times when the ball was kind of near him, and you think, well, go over there and make it difficult for the player, and he didn't seem sort of. And then there were a couple of times where he actually did sort of run back, and it was we'll do that all the time, not just when you feel like it, that half chance that went Alessi's way late on, where it was his flicked on header that put Alessi almost through. He sort of drifted in and out of it. He was like, I'll play for a few minutes and then I'll watch a few minutes and see how it goes.
Yeah.
But you hope and you expect that when you've got something like that, you've got that many youngsters in the team, that the senior pros would be looking to help develop those players, and really it was kind of almost the other way around. The youngsters were sort of putting everything into it. You mentioned Noble, and he didn't have a good game, but at least with Noble, if he's not having a good game, it's not for want of trying. Whereas, with Yarmolenko, maybe less so Vlasic, he just didn't have a good game. But Yarmolenko certainly just wondered, he just seemed to resent it, sort of thing, and being out
looked
there.
like a player who's on his way out, didn't he? No effort at all. Kind of the sort of performance you see from someone who knows that they don't want to get hurt ahead of a potential move in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, it didn't really sort of get interested at all. It was, I'm here. Well, I'll go through the motions a little bit. If he wants out, then there are teams that will pay some half decent money. I don't suppose we'll make a profit on him, but it will be half decent money because he's got his reputation as, his international reputation, and there will be undoubtedly teams out there, clubs out there, for whom he will be a better fit. But let's hopefully get the business done early, and we can then strengthen where we need it. So,
okay, some match stats for you. Possession, West Ham 49%, Dinamo Zagreb 51, 7 shots for West Ham, 2 of which were on target, 13 for the visitors, 4 on target. Of course, they had 9 in the first half, so they barely troubled West Ham's goal in the second half. So credit to West Ham's youngsters for doing a very, very good defensive job at least. Some results from elsewhere in the Europa League for you today. Earlier on, we saw Spartak Moscow win 1-0 in Poland, beat Legia Warsaw. PSV beaten heavily 3-0 by Real Sociedad. French Ross beaten Leverkusen 1-0. And of course, tonight, Marseille beating Lokomotiv Moscow 1-0. Ludogorets and Midtjylland finishing 0-0. Bit of a barnstormer up at Celtic Park in the end. Celtic 1-0 up at half-time against Real Betis, eventually winning 3-2. We'll have a look at what that means for Celtic and their chances of progress in just a moment. Braga and Crvena Zvezda drawing 1-1. Lazio and Galatasaray, another goalless draw. And the other game in West Ham's group finished as it was for most of the game, a bit like our game. Genk 0, Rapid Vienna 1, which means Rapid Vienna finished 3rd in the group and qualify for the Conference League, finishing 3rd in the group. Quick look at what that means for the rest of the Europa League. The teams are going straight through to the last 16 as follows: Lyon, Monaco, Spartak Moscow, Eintracht Frankfurt, Galatasaray, Crvena Zvezda, Leverkusen, of course, West Ham. And the 8 teams who are going to be going into the playoffs next February to play the 8 teams who fell out of the Champions League yesterday and Tuesday are Rangers, Real Sociedad, Napoli, Olympiacos, Arthur Masuaku's former team, Lazio, where Felipe Anderson is playing again right now, Braga of Portugal, Real Betis, Manuel Pellegrini's team, Celtic finishing 3rd in the end. It wasn't enough for them to qualify. They go into the Conference League, and Dinamo Zagreb, of course, who beat West Ham tonight. So some good sides left in the competition now, Gnome. We've sort of ran through earlier on, didn't we, who West Ham could be facing from the Champions League. Is there anyone you really fancy out of those, the last 24 teams, I guess, left in the competition now? Anywhere you really fancy going that you haven't been before, or anyone you really want to avoid, until the latter stages?
I don't know. Somewhere nice and warm at the moment, looking at the crap weather we're getting, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's a case of it'll be what it'll be, sort of thing. As I say, we mentioned that I want to avoid Transnistria or that part of Moldova, depending on your point of view.
Yep.
Because that'll be one of those places you go where you're not just playing the team, you're playing kind of all the bureaucracy, or they'll make it difficult. You'll get a crap hotel. Do you want to get back to it, because they're now having a quick word with Alessi? So shall we see what he's got to say for himself? He's just been congratulated on making his debut, and he said it's a bit bittersweet. We'd have preferred a win, but to play my first European game, it's an amazing achievement. To do it with so many of the other 23s was great as well. Even had a couple of moments at the death. If I was shoe size bigger, I would have got a goal. So, grow then. So they found out on Monday that they were playing, but things can change. So we found out yesterday, definitely. So we had to get our minds ready for the game. He's got a grin on his face, like a Cheshire cat there. So you can tell he can't stop himself smiling. He said, I had some doubts, nerves about it, but live on TV, 60,000 in the stadium, I got very excited in the end. And he said, we've been playing very well in the 23s this season. We're all good friends, so it was good to play together with them. And he's just being asked one of those daft questions. What's the difference between playing at under 23 level? To be fair, he's played a straight bat. You've got to be switched on, sharper. It's a lot quicker. But It's not one of the brighter questions young Becky's asked there. He says sometimes you feel you're doing well and you keep your head down and keep working hard, and you try and impress when you've got the chance. That's all you can do. And just been asked how much the experienced players helped. Diplomatically, I think he's saying they helped us through the game, especially Mark Noble. We all look up to him, especially as he's come through the academy himself. So anyway, he's been given lots of congratulations. Nice little interview there. It's one of those ones where he's trying to be serious and all that, but you know when you can't get the smile off your face, and it's lovely to see that. And you know, it does sort of warm the cockles of your heart to see that sort of thing. So
nice to see. Nice to see. It's been a night for the kids, isn't it? Really. But you know,
I just like
we touched
a point actually on that because yeah, I'm saying there that it's a scratch team, but of course that back four have played together, I suppose, albeit not at this level. Again, I guess sort of introducing, you've got a whole back four as a unit there, who you know, as a unit acquitted themselves very, very well indeed. You know, they weren't put to the sword at any stage really. As I say, win would have been nice, but you know, let's just feel good for the kids at this point, I think, and leave it at that.
Yep. Well, unfortunately, we were both wrong with our predictions. We went for 2-2, as did most of half of the live chat team. Joining in with us on YouTube, who offered predictions, but West Ham just narrowly beaten. It's a good point actually you make. The defence. I think the only time I can think where we looked troubled was that occasion where the cross came from the left. Who was it who had the header where it was Ademi, wasn't it? The number 6 after 33 minutes, the header came in. Longello just lost his bearings a little bit, and you know, someone with a bit more finesse would have buried that header. Fortunately for West Ham, it went over the bar. But that's the only occasion I can think where we looked genuinely troubled at the back. So huge credit to the youngsters. Not so much credit, it seems, coming from our fellow Hammers on the live YouTube chat group and also on the KUMB.com forum match thread. Just having a quick look through some of the comments. E17 saying the game was England-friendly levels of dull, but hopefully that will be the last time we'll have to watch Yarmolenko stealing a living for us. And Bubbles 1966, a little bit more accommodating with his views. Král and Vlasic, okay, he says, without doing anything particularly exceptional. But Yarmolenko is a goner in the next 6 to 7 weeks. I reckon overall the game almost felt a bit like a friendly, which I think is a very good point. It did definitely have that feel about it. Bonzo Beard not impressed by our Czech midfielder at all, though, saying that I'm happy some of you saw something in Král. I'm definitely missing it. He clearly makes an effort. But also critical of Mark Noble, saying that, you know, I didn't think he looked okay tonight. Very, very in and out of the game. Danny Boy, DJL, critical of the performance from our own Croatian midfielder tonight. Niko Vlasic, Danny Boy saying, I was amazed Everton nearly doubled their money on him. And I'm absolutely baffled. We dropped £30 million on a lad from the Russian league. I've always been slightly suspect that there is something dodgy going on with his signings. He's moved around for a lot of money for someone who has done nothing outside Russia. He's the Croatian Hugh Gill. There's a first. There you go, the Croatian Hugh Gill.
A bit hard.
Well, yeah, it is a tad. SH, one of the KUMB.com forum regulars, saying Vlasic deserves a season before we write him off, surely. Just look at Ben Rama this season compared to last. Some players take longer than others to settle, so let's give him time, which is a point I fully...
Better comparison in that respect, because it took him a while to get used to the game. Clearly, there was some talent there, and but it just wasn't quite working out for him. But he's improved no end over the last since his first season or half season, anyway.
Yeah, he's dipped again though, hasn't he? In recent weeks, he's really not been at the races since sort of October. Really, he started the season really well, but Stu One also offering his take on a few players. Yarmolenko, he says he's just so slow and his press or complete lack of it. cost us for the first goal. His days have been good enough for the Premier League are over. If he has to play a reasonable number of minutes, we are in trouble. On Alex Crowley says he hustles and he harries in midfield, but looks very limited on the ball and quite slow. I'd be very surprised if we take up his loan option. And on Vlasic, he said he looks like a tidy player, but you'd hoped he'd stand out more than he does, which is, again, something I think I fully agree with. Looking like this year's Ben Rama, hopefully he'll kick on soon. Would have liked to have seen him played more centrally. So, yeah, the senior players coming in for a bit of stick. Of course, I mentioned that Andrei Yarmolenko had been booed by some sections of the home crowd as he left the pitch, having been substituted in the final stages of the game, coming off for young Potts, wasn't he? 87th minute. But seemed a little bit harsh. Now, on Potts, Gnome, it's got me thinking, father and son combinations. Pots and pots and pots. Actually, that's a triple.
He's done the double.
that probably is a first. But I can think of obviously Lampard, Frank and Frank.
Yeah.
And then you've got Johnny Wonka and what's his boy's name? George. Of course, he was one of the players who played that day at the City Ground against Nottingham Forest. Am I missing any more?
Kenny Brown,
of course. Yeah, of course.
Going back even before my time, Big and Little Jim Barrett. Going back into ancient history, when dinosaurs ruled the earth. There may be more. Now,
a couple of good shouts there.
Bill Lansdown's. There was Billy Lansdown, and I'm sure
Billy Lansdown, yeah,
before as well. He was certainly on the coaching staff for a while. The Lansdowns were a bit like the Brush family. The connections with my dad from Plaistow Grammar School over the years, and old Plaistowians cricket. So I mean, I met Paul Brush at one of my dad's dues, and because his dad was at school with my dad, and we were talking about sort of player contracts and things like that, and Paul said, well, all the negotiations that need to go on, and he said, well, it's not always like that. He said, did you know how I got the Leyton Orient manager job? And he said, no. He said, well, I was assistant manager, and I think it was Tommy Taylor was his boss. And Barry Hearn decided to sack Tommy Taylor. And the conversation with Paul Brush was done by telephone. It was, I've sacked Tommy Taylor. You're the manager now. See you in the morning. That was it. So, even low grade. So,
we of course, we forgot the Martins. How can we forget the Martins?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Elvin and David.
Yeah. Yes, that wonderful moment that panned out in front of us when he climbed into the stands. There must be more.
If you're watching us on the live chat, let us know if we've missed anyone. Hobo just pointing out the Martins that I see as well. But of course, we've had a few Kerns in the ballroom Gnome over the years, and obviously the odd Pratt too. But that's another matter entirely.
We've got Mark Noble pitch side now. He's saying he's incredibly proud of the players, the youngsters. I've seen them grow up. I've watched them since they were age 11. I've seen them go through the academy, get into the first team. Carlton Cole works with them in the academy a lot. It's a credit to the club for the players to get in this position where we top the group with the game to spare. We've got a lot of big games coming up, and we've picked up a lot of injuries in the last couple of weeks. So to get the academy boys, including myself, a little bit older than the rest of them, I think 7 players at the end from the academy, which is fantastic all round. The coaches in the academy all the way up have done a fantastic job with these boys, not just as players, but as people as well. And they fully deserve credit for that. Joe Cole's on the questioning now. With the back four, it's just been asked, the back four all debutants, how were they talking to you? He says, well, I thought they showed great character. Exactly that. The wonder goal after 3 minutes, it was a special goal, but I thought they were fantastic. They kept on talking. The fullbacks attacked really well. They got down the sides. pausing for breath. And the two were fantastic in the middle of the box. They are a good side, Dinamo. They're not a walkover. They played nice football. Not the result we wanted, but all in all, to get that many academy boys on the pitch at the same time was a credit to everyone. So much as what we're saying here, actually, you know. So,
we have Moisey out yet?
not yet, no. No,
Okay.
Noble's just being asked, you know, when you go down early, what were you saying to the lads, the galvanisers? He said, in all honesty, he said, I thought after the goal they really played well. I have no complaints. I thought Harrison was really good, getting those crosses in, running with the ball, getting into the final third. A couple of the passes into midfield and the strikers were really nice, and some of the defending was great. When a player hits one from 35 yards with a bit from that sort of angle and it hits the post and goes in, there's not a lot they can do. If you take that out of the game, there was not a lot in it, to be honest. We had a couple of chances. They had a couple. Probably not the most exciting game to watch, if I'm honest, but an incredible achievement for the players. You make your debut in the Carabao Cup in the early stages of the FA Cup, but to make your debut in the Europa League is a massive credit to the football club.
Colton Cole firing the questions, I believe.
Yeah, you laughed at me when I said Barcelona be coming here months ago. You fancy him in March? Noble said, I wasn't laughing at that. I was laughing at the clothes you were wearing, Joe. Listen, that would be a great draw for everybody. I think just because Barcelona dropped out of the Champions League, it doesn't necessarily make them a bad side. They've got some fantastic young players, probably going through a bit of a cycle at the minute, like a lot of clubs, producing young players. Yeah, looking at that board, a lot of top teams. Exciting who we get in the group of 16, because the boys will really be looking forward to it. Saying obviously you go to the academy a lot and you've watched the players. You've got young Lenny, your boy, who plays there. You think the club is in a good place, academy-wise, to keep churning out the talent?
Yeah.
We saw it on display today, but what do you think the future is for the academy? Noble saying, well, you've got to remember we've got one of the best midfield in the world right now. We've got Declan Rice midfielders who's come through. Ben Johnson has been fantastic in the last couple of months. Obviously, myself coming to the end, but you then go down and you look at the boys we have had come through the 23s. We're top of their league, which is fantastic. I've watched your 16s. He's talked to Carlton Cole, and I've watched the 18s a lot. With some top players, we need to keep producing them. As you know, it's so important to keep homegrown players in and around the first team. With me being here all of my career and Declan taking the armband when I'm not playing, Johnson playing week in, week out, it's a massive credit to the academy for nurturing those players. And the manager, can't say, and the manager bringing them in. The boys are being very polite at the moment. We've been trading the youngsters, but they were hammering you earlier. You know that's not true. We would never hammer you. So Noble's obviously a bit bad to going on
there. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, it's nice to see everyone's quite happy despite the result. Of course, West Ham did lose their unbeaten record in Europe this season tonight, but I don't suppose anyone's going to be unduly concerned by it. Certainly wasn't a strong team, not even a second team for West Ham, but more like a third team out there for much of the evening, and not a bad result, all things considered. I just asked the group for their man of the match suggestions. Gnome, Mark Richardson going with Longelo and Polaroid 2, followed by Harrison Ashby. Who did you? Who sort of really stood out? I mean, it's difficult. No one really played exceptionally well, but I'm presuming you're going to go for one of the youngsters. Who would you have as your outstanding player there tonight?
Two standouts for me. I think I'm going to go for Harrison Ashby, purely because I think he stood out a little bit more defensively. Longello caught the eye because he was happy. I mean, they're just showing him now, and he was quite happy to bring the ball out and all that. But I just think Ashby had a little bit more. Whilst he didn't bring the ball out as much, he did get down the line and was a willing receiver, if you like, and he just had that little bit more defensively, I think, for me. But really, I mean, if I could give it to both of those two, I think I would, because there's that much between them.
Yeah, no, there was. It's a tough one, wasn't it? Because I'm kind of with you in the first half. I thought Ashby looked to me far and away the best player on the pitch out there in the first half at both ends of some really good interceptions at dangerous moments, tackles in our end of the pitch, and putting that cross, didn't he, for Sonny Perkins, a great delivery that and Antonio probably would have buried, or a Souček, but Sonny unfortunately not quite tall enough or experienced enough even to get over the top. Second half, I thought, from what I saw of it, of course, because I missed the start of it with a buffering stream, but I thought Longello looked good going forward. But I guess the point is both of those players look better going forward, I think, than they perhaps did defensively. But again, you've got to take into account, I guess, the fact that they are young lads and this is new experience. But I don't know. I'd probably give it one half to each. So it's I don't know on the who I'd give it to overall. But first half Ashby, second half Longello. We'll go with that.
Yeah, we'll give it to both of them. Yeah, they've just come up with a stat there on the subtitles. The only person to touch the ball more than Longello was Mark Noble. So that says a lot. His confidence and everything. So I think I want to turn the telly off in a second, because they're good. I think the next program on is Ashes highlights, and I'm being sort of pleasantly and proud of what I've just seen. I don't want that mood to be upended. So
it was quite funny. A friend of mine sent me a message via Facebook yesterday morning and just said 147. And I thought at first that he'd hit his first ever maximum on the Green Bays, and then it kind of dawned on me that he was talking about England's, first innings in the Ashes. But not good, was it? We'll move swiftly on from that. Yeah. I think actually we can wrap up pretty quickly. So there's not an awful lot to talk about, and time is pushing on. So we'll go straight into it was a bit of a nothing game, wasn't it? Really, as we expected. We've seen the kids come through. It's great, but not a lot to talk about from an attacking perspective. But back to the real business this weekend. Burnley away, looking really to build on that win against Chelsea. We stuttered against Brighton, lost against Wolves, beat Chelsea. There's a real opportunity now to push on and maybe take a hold of that top, take hold in the top four, and maybe start pushing the teams ahead of us again. Burnley struggling this season, not look good. I believe the guy, and who's his name? The guy, I forget, the guy they signed for 12 million, the French guy. Cornet. Yeah, I think he's injured. I think he got injured, didn't he, last week? So I'm not sure he's going to be playing. Maybe someone on the live chat can confirm that for us if I'm incorrect. But he really struck me as their outstanding player. And if he's missing, that's going to be a huge boost, I think, to West Ham. Regardless of that, how do you see this one going? It's another, we haven't traditionally fared that well, have we, up at Turf Moor over the years, but done pretty well there last year. And 3 points for West Ham, do you think?
I think it will be, yeah. Back to the sort of day job and all that. Burnley have benefited from having at least three really lousy teams worse than them in the league. At the moment, they're not. They haven't got that at the moment because they've only won once all season. 3-1 home win to Brentford. So most of their points are coming from scrapping out draws, and they donated Newcastle their first win of the season on Saturday. So
indeed,
bottom three are all on 10 points, I believe, which is interesting. And they're only sort of off the bottom on goal difference. They don't ship goals as much as Norwich and Newcastle were doing earlier on this season. So that's, I guess, in their favour, and they'll be tough. But I think,
well, what's interesting to note, Noam, is that they've only lost 6 games out of 14, which is the same as Arsenal, who are only 4 points behind West Ham at the moment.
Yeah,
tough team to beat.
I mean, they've been scraping draws here and there, haven't they?
Yeah, 7 draws, I think, out of every other game they've drawn.
1-1, drawn 7, lost 6. That's I think, because they're a game behind. To be fair, they are a game behind everyone else because they were under 6 foot of snow when they went to play. When they formed part of Tottenham's cunning plan to avoid defeat by the virtue of not actually playing games, and but there'll be a little bit sort of anxious. They'll having the sort of psychology of actually being in the bottom 3, even if you have got a game in hand and you've drawn more than you've lost. That won't help. On the other hand, we've got a team that'll be buzzing. Everyone will be sort of saying, well, I mean, that'll be a happy camp in our camp, even though we've lost, because you get a buzz from seeing your youngsters play well. I just can remember, I mean, even the supporters. I mean, going back, I remember when Freddie Sears scored that debut goal, and everyone was wandering around with a big smile on their face. I think it was the first game we'd won for God knows how long, and and we weren't in the greatest of positions, if I recall correctly. But the fact that one of your kids had scored, it was just everyone was a big smile on your face, and that will pervade through even to those that were playing. And I think we'll win. I don't think it'll be easy because it never is up there, and with the way they set up. But
who's the big threat for them known this weekend? I mean, Chris Wood's been a bit of a nemesis for us in the past, hasn't he?
Yeah. There's always him. And I mean, especially if our mate the Flake isn't playing. Which obviously we'll have to check up on. I'll have to see if I get Daisy onto that for Percy. But it's he's always a pain in the backside, and not the greatest of players, but he's quite mobile, and that can sometimes sort of count against our defence. But Vida every time buzzes about a little bit, and sometimes it's not about the necessarily the quality of the player, but the type of player they are. Sometimes,
about our friend, their new signing. Apparently, he was taken off in the first half against Newcastle in that 1-0 defeat last weekend with a thigh injury, and apparently Sean Dyche is going to provide an update tomorrow during his pre-match press conference to let everyone know whether or not he's going to be available. So I guess we'll find out then. But clearly, their star player this season has been absolutely exceptional for the Clarets.
Yeah, one of his goals was on the goal of the month thing the other day, and he was it was a stunning finish, I must admit. Let's have a look. Maxwell Cornet. Yeah, it's a quadriceps strain. At the moment, it's currently being assessed, ruled out, but obviously you'll get an update tomorrow. So so that's not looking.
Well, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm loath to wish injury on anyone, having played a lot and been injured myself and all that, but it would be a big boost for us. So I don't wish him ill, but let's put it this way: I'd be happier if he took his time to recover, because quadriceps strains, or they can be tricky, coach. An extra week's rest would probably do in the world of good, I'd say.
Team for Sunday. Pick your starting 11.
Oh well, Fabianski in goal. Sorry, where are we with Cresswell?
Well, we're assuming he's going to be fit enough to play. I mean, he was back in training ahead of the Chelsea game, wasn't he? But obviously decided not to put him in. So I guess we're expecting him to be back.
Okay, we've got him. Yeah, I've got him listed here as 75%. He'll face a fitness test. He's back in training. He's done a bit of light training, so I have to take a look at that. I'm just thinking, actually, what is it about our defenders then, and the damage they want to do to various bits of the of football furniture? You had Cresswell trying to demolish Man City's goalpost. You had Ashby on the corner flag.
Yeah. Hasn't Craig Dawson hit a few posts as well in his time, or is that just opposition players? Yeah.
So, okay, let's assume Cresswell's going to be playing. So we'd have him at left back.
Right back, who's going to be your right back? Sufo coming back in?
Yeah.
Centre halves picks themselves. We've only got two.
And D up, double Ds. Just trying to think where we.
Or do we go 5 at the back? Do we drop Rice in there as well? Or maybe even Masuaku?
No, for Burnley, no, it's Burnley. I mean, it's up our sleeve. I suppose it's in our armoury, but I think that would be showing Burnley a little bit too much. I would go.
So 4-2-3-1 as per
Rice and Souček.
Yep.
And then what are we doing? We do 4-2-3-1, don't we? So what we got the next?
Does Lanzini start? Does Lanzini come back into the team?
Lanzini, Fornals,
Bowen,
and then Antonio. Yeah, that would be the likeliest.
Okay. The good thing, of course, is that they should all be fully fit, having had a week to rest, not having played tonight. So we'll see. I guess you're not going to be far wrong anyway. You'd expect that kind of lineup to be foremost in David Moyes' thinking. One other thing I wanted to ask you about, actually, not about Burnley, but another game we've got coming up in a couple of weeks, and it's sort of been thrown into disarray a little bit with news from the last 24 to 48 hours. We're supposed to play Tottenham in the Carabao Cup quarter-final on the 22nd of December. Spurs have had their game against Rennes cancelled, and also we learned tonight that the Premier League fixture against Brighton has been cancelled again. They also, as you mentioned earlier, had their trip to Burnley cancelled because of snow. And they've been told apparently by UEFA that they have to somehow play the Rennes fixture prior to the 31st of December. Now, the other point is, of course, that Rennes on the 22nd of December, or after the 22nd of December, go for a winter break, which is happening in France this year. So we're supposed to be playing Tottenham on the 22nd. Something's got to give. You can't see all of those games taking place, can you? So what do you think is going to transpire there exactly?
Well, I read today, I was reading the Standard, excuse me, on my way home. And Rennes are not at all happy with Tottenham.
Yes, they travelled to the game, didn't they? They were in London when they found out it was being cancelled.
Yeah, there is there is UEFA rule which says if they've got a certain number of players on their sort of A squad or A list, fit, then the game has to be played.
13, isn't it? Is the minimum?
13, I think it is. Yeah. Now, Rennes, not unreasonably, asked how many players Tottenham had, and basically they didn't get an answer. And they just got told that no, the game's off. So they're not happy about that. I think.
Do you think they'll just throw the game then? Did you think Tottenham will just say, "Well, we can't fulfil the fixture"? I mean, they don't seem too bothered about the competition. Let's be honest. I mean, it's not uppermost in Conte's thoughts, is it? For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a bit of a pain in the neck for them, but I mean, clearly, if it's not played by the December 31st, then I think that automatically counts as thrown. And so now,
do you foresee any problems with our game? On the 22nd.
Well, I think that will be kind of set in stone. And they're going to have to work around it. Now, the thing is, I mean, sort of, the winter break is a domestic break, so I guess that there's probably nothing from nothing from from that point of view that would stop Rennes playing one European game. I mean, Tottenham would be playing then on presumably the Saturday.
Well, they're supposed to be playing Leicester on the 16th, Liverpool on the 19th. That's a Thursday and a Sunday. And then the following Wednesday is our game in the Cup. And then, of course, they play Palace on Boxing Day. So 4 games in 10 days. And Southampton, 5 in 12, and 6 if you take into account January. It doesn't seem like they're going to get all these games in. There's certainly no room to get that Conference League game played. So I just wondered, there is, of course, a precedent, isn't there? I think it was Orient, wasn't it? Was it not Orient that Tottenham played in an earlier round and they were given a bye because Orient couldn't field a team? But the other point is that good for West Ham or is it bad? Because on the one hand, Tottenham's players are going to be resting, but of course the other reason they're resting because half of them have got COVID. So does that benefit West Ham or not?
Well, COVID's not benefiting anybody. It's not nice to have, and you know, I mean, all joking apart, and much as we like to take the mickey out of Tottenham, even though they're so much better at doing it themselves, you know, we don't really wish ill of anybody. At least I personally don't. I could, but having said that, you know, Conte was clearly shaken and worried when he was when I saw that interview, and that wasn't, you know, that wasn't sort of put on or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess one of those games because there's midweek games coming up, aren't there? Midweek league games.
Yep.
And I guess
they play Leicester on the Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they could postpone that to later on in the season, and replace that with the Rennes game. That would need the Premier League obviously to join in, and but it's not unprecedented though. There are teams who played a lot of games in a short period of time, and if they and it might be a case of trying to find a day. I mean, like they play us on a Wednesday. I mean,
22nd. They play on the week of the Sunday before they have Liverpool, and then of course 4 days after us they have the Boxing Day fixtures. But I mean, you know, without wishing to come over all Jeremy Paxman on you, no, you know, I said, do you think it will benefit West Ham or not? I mean, what's your verdict on that?
Well, as I say, the players who've had COVID, it would benefit us because you know, depending on how bad you get it, obviously, but it's just sort of what you do, and it takes a lot of getting over, and you see with long COVID, people are still struggling months and months after getting it. So, from that point of view, I mean, I guess it's an ill win, but
not quite Lasagna Gate, though, is it? You know, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of. It turned out that. I mean, whilst Lasagna Gate, of course, everybody remembers lasagna, and we all sort of laugh and joke about it. As it turned out, it wasn't lasagna at all. It was a viral infection that went amongst themselves, and you know, if they just washed their hands once in a while, maybe they could have avoided it. So, the poor old Marriott Hotel got involved. They dozens of police turned up at the hotel to looking at potential conspiracy theories, etc., and in the end, it was all their own fault. So, but lasagna is one of those things; it will stick, isn't it? A bit like Booger's Caravan and things like that. So, I'm just trying to get my head around where they could actually fit it. The only way I could see them fitting is to actually postpone one of those league games.
Yeah.
The earlier, the better. And the one. So you say it's Leicester, Liverpool, then us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it would have been Brighton, but of course that's off now as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, but again, the Leicester the league games can be put through later on the season because when they get knocked out of all the cups, and
Well, I was just going to say that. Yeah, I mean, it's not as if they're fighting on many fronts this year, especially if they come unstuck against West Ham United in the Carabao Cup when we go up there in a couple of weeks. But interesting anyway, just to get your thoughts on that, because I'd imagine that's quite a worry at the moment. Not it's our concern, of course, but as you rightly say, we don't wish ill on anyone, and we you certainly want to win properly if that's at all possible. But yeah. Lots of football. Of course, West Ham are going to be going into that game pretty tired ourselves with our busy fixture schedule. Fortunately, a lot of the first team players managed to get a break tonight, and at least they'll have had a week's rest by the time Sunday comes around for Burnley. Anyway, I think that's about it tonight. Noam, you got any final words you'd like to add before we wrap up?
No, other than my throat's just about held out, thankfully, and but no, well played the youngsters, and yeah, the result's almost irrelevant. It certainly was for us. And as I say, had we needed something out of that game, we'd have seen a different team. And yeah, just nice to see.
Yeah, excellent way to summarise the evening. Yeah, it was a disappointing night for West Ham United in terms of the score, but as I mentioned earlier, that's 12 academy players that have now made their debut under David Moyes since December 2019, and there were several more on that pitch tonight to get their first ever taste of Europa and European League football as West Ham went down 1-0 at home to Dinamo Zagreb in what was a dead rubber at the London Olympic Stadium. West Ham and Zagreb both through to the next round of the Europa League. Zagreb will have to play one of the teams that fell out of the Champions League earlier in this week to earn their place in the last 16. West Ham, of course, already there. And we have to wait until next February to find out who we will face. West Ham playing in the last 16 in mid-March, the two games coming then. Hopefully by then.
You may do the draw for the sort of two rounds simultaneously, so you'll be playing either or.
You could be right, actually. I've got, that definitely rings bells. I can't say that for sure, but I've got a feeling that's how they did it last year, isn't it? So, well, we may know just after Christmas then who we're facing or who will potentially be facing anyway, because there's a playoff before that happens. I was just going to say, hopefully, Kurt Zuma will be back by then. We've had some reports coming out of the club in the last 24 hours or so to say that it looks like he may be ahead of schedule. No, it's early days yet. The injury was only confirmed 4 days ago, but early signs are promising, and it looks like he may be back before that 3-month window that he was given to recover, which would, of course, mean he's back in time for that Europa League last 16 tie, which, of course, we would love to see. When's the Carabao Cup final? No, any idea? It must be around that time, mustn't it? Late February, March?
February, March. I can't remember now. Off the top of my head. I've been deliberately not looking at things like that. I'm the ultimate in that football cliche of taking each game as it comes.
Indeed.
Trying hard to get carried away. So
Indeed.
February, March time.
Well, there you go. So hopefully Zuma will be back. I mean, we know Angelo Bonner's not going to be back for any of those games. He's out for the season. But, of course, David Moyes hoping to go into the transfer market in a few weeks' time. Excuse me. And expand his squad again. We're looking definitely for at least one defender. Joe Worrell, Forest, cited as a potential signing, although, we've spoken to people at Forest, and the word is that Joe's quite happy where he's a big Forest fan, been a season ticket holder there before he joined the playing squad. Quite happy to stay there. Would like to see Forest up this season, so that might not be a goer. Nathan Ake at Man City, of course, probably a little bit beyond West Ham at the moment. £40 million signing, maybe Tarkowski, but again, looks like Burnley are holding out for a lot more money than they probably deserve for a player who's out of contract in less than 6 months. But I'm sure David Moyes and Rob Newman, of course, the new head of recruitment, will have something sorted out very soon. And no, it's important, isn't it, that we get these players in. We've been getting players in at the end of the transfer windows, haven't we? That's normally the way David Sullivan likes to do business. We need someone in that first week of January, don't we, really?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think that steps are already underway, sort of to identify and work on that.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of Tarkowski's though. I mean, he's been mentioned left, right, and centre. It's just, I don't know. You see some of the stuff he's gotten away with against us, and you know full well that if he does that playing for us, there'll be a red card. Was it Bowen he cleared out? There was somebody out on the right wing who just 2-footed lunge and just got away with it completely.
When was that? Last season?
I think it was. Yeah, I'm struggling to remember now. It's a bit late, but yeah. So I mean, I will admit I've been more concentrating on what we've got at the moment than what's out there. But I feel that there's also, and Pinky and I had this conversation beforehand, not just bringing in players. Obviously, we're a bit light in the central defensive department. Although after tonight, you may argue that's not the case. But there's bringing players in because you need them, and then there's the situation where you bring someone in that you think that'll improve the team, and it can end up disrupting it. Famously, we mentioned Rodney Marsh signing for Manchester City when they were top of the league, and I think by the end of the season, I think they'd blown it all. They've finished third or fourth. This is in the 70s, so it's got to be the right player. And I'm happy that if David Moyes is doing the picking, him and his backroom staff are doing the picking, that we'll get that right player if they're available. I'm less happy that that'd be the case if people further up the food chain are involved, shall we say.
Yes. Yeah. No comment once again. I'm afraid.
Past record, shall we say so.
Yeah. According to Polaroid, it was Grady Diangana got wiped out by Tarkowski. But that would have been the season before, wouldn't it? That would have been a couple of years ago. But we shall see.
That was over the last couple of years, yeah. Thanks, Polaroid.
Yes, thank you, Polaroid.
Bye.
That's it from us. We're going to wrap up there. West Ham through to the last 16 of the Europa League. Beaten tonight, but as we saw on the pitch with all the youngsters out there, the future is very bright and the future is claret and blue. We shall be back with you on Sunday. Gnome and I will be back for the trip to Turf Moor Sunday afternoon.
I've got to get back from since I'm no longer going that. I've got parental duties, so I'll try and get back here in time. It's not on the box either, is it?
Does that mean I might have a stream ahead of everyone else for a change?
Well, I always have trouble getting streams. I'm never quite. You might have to talk me through this because I can never get any of it to work. So.
No worries.
But I mean,
right. Well,
yeah, I'm aiming to get back here by about sort of it's 2:30 kickoff, isn't it?
It's a 2:30.
Well,
okay.
Yeah. All being well, I should be back here for around 2ish, and and it's just a matter of whether or not I can actually see the bloody game then.
All right, no worries. Well, either way, we'll have someone here for you covering the game. Thank you to everyone who joined us on the live stream. Thanks as always for your comments and opinions. We love it. Love to have you involved. Thank you to everyone who's posting on the KUMB.com forum. Actually, that's what we're going right now to see what's been going on and to add our own thoughts on what we've seen tonight. As I say, that's it from us tonight. We shall see you again very soon on Sunday. In fact, West Ham United v Burnley as West Ham look to secure back-to-back wins, and keep our charge for a top 4 place going. We shall see you then. Until then, come on, you irons.
Night all.
We're here in the offices of a Late Late Show with the host of a Late Late Show, James Corden.
Hi.
Big West Ham fan.
Yes. And big knees up Mother Brown man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm regularly on the general discussion page. There's always someone who's got some information, so I love it. Yeah. It's great.
Get on the forum at kumb.com. Come on, you irons.